Ulrich Roux Associates. Ulrich Roux joins us to unpack the story. Ulrich, great to see you. Thanks for your time.
Hi, good morning, Leanne. Thank you for having me.
So in a nutshell, I mean, this is all about compelling the president to provide information as to what happened at the Phala Phala farm in 2020. Why the extensions? Why is he not answering the questions and rather leaving this case to just basically look like a big cover-up?
Well, I think it's obviously a very complex and extensive investigation that needs to be done. There are criminal charges that have been laid, and the police have confirmed that they are investigating the charges. We have had no feedback from the South African Police Service since they confirmed that. But I think that President Ramaphosa must obviously be very cautious as to what he says pertaining to this incident. Firstly, the fact that there was potentially and allegedly a large amount of US dollars in cash in his possession on the farm. And secondly, why the crime was not reported and made to look as though it was intentionally covered up. Is there anything to hide? Is there any, offenses that have been committed by President Ramaphosa? He obviously will have to, if it is proven that there was indeed a substantial amount of cash in dollars at his farm, he will have to prove how that money came into South Africa in terms of our Reserve Bank regulations. And secondly, what the purpose of the money was. Why was it at the farm? Why was it not declared? Why was it not banked? There are numerous answers, that he will have to provide to these queries. And I think that he's most likely busy putting together all of that information. Well, one can only hope so. But the public protector is well within her rights now to say that, well, we are not going to grant any further extensions. We've already granted one. And in terms of the Public Protector Act, the Public Protector does have the power and the authority to issue subpoenas to bring a person who is in the employ of the state before it in order to answer questions. So one will have to wait and see now whether President Ramaphosa is forthcoming with answers to these queries prior to the subpoena being issued. That obviously will take a bit of time in order to have the subpoenas issued, served on him, and then to grant him that time period. And one would have to wait and see whether he is forthcoming with those answers prior to that.
I mean, so the complaints basically cited alleged breaches of the Executive Code of Ethics by the president. So he's now missed 2 deadlines already, asking for a 3rd date to submit. I mean, how does this look and bode towards the president, and what position does this actually put him in?
Yes, there's obviously the court of public opinion, and society obviously has varied and different views pertaining to this. But as a rule of law, if a person can substantiate as to why they require further time, why there's been a delay in the provision of this information, then it will have to be considered. The fact of the matter is that the Public Protector investigation will have to have regard to his input and to the answers that he provides to these questions. So it will be in everyone's best interest, for him to be forthcoming with it and for the Public Protector to be in possession of his version so as to comply a proper report which encompasses all of the relevant information. So one would have to wait and see once again, if he provides substantial reasons as to why the delay in the matter. And then obviously his answers are going to be crucial to determine whether he has in fact violated the ethics code of the executives. And one would have to wait and see what the Public Protector makes of that.
So we obviously don't know why. The president hasn't given, or the presidency or EC's representatives have not given reasons as to why they want a further delay and why these answers have not been given.
Yes, at this stage, everyone is in the dark, and I think everyone is quite anxious to hear his version. He has spoken at gatherings pertaining to this, and he has denied any wrongdoing, but obviously he will have to substantiate that and provide sufficient proof. Once again, as I said, there are serious criminal allegations and charges that have been laid against him, including money laundering, racketeering, fraud, obstruction to justice, etc., etc., etc. So he would have to provide substantial and sufficient answers to that to address those concerns properly. At this stage, I think the entire South Africa is waiting with bated breath as to what his version is, and what evidence he is going to present in order to show, as he alleges, that he did not do anything wrong.
Indeed, and also give reasons as to why he cannot be compliant with the public protector. I mean, 3 days after receiving the complaint on the 3rd of June, the public protector now, that's not quite there in that position, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, wrote to the president on the 7th of June, giving him June 22nd for him to respond. Then Mkhwebane got suspended before the president could respond. On the 17th of June, Ramaphosa asked for an extension. That was given till the 18th of July. Now he's asking for more time, which we've been discussing. And the Public Protector's Office has said that there is no just cause. So, I mean, obviously the Office of the Public Protector is following rules which set out response protocols and timeframes. So a response must be received no later than 7 days from the date when an individual receives correspondence from the Public Protector. What kind of perception would it bring to the person of the president if he were to be subpoenaed?
Well, I think that he would want to avoid that at all costs. The Public Protector Act makes provision for a subpoena to be issued in order for the person who is on the receiving end of the subpoena either to supply the Public Protector with an affidavit under oath, setting out firstly the reasons for the delay in answering the queries, and secondly, answering the queries themselves, substantiated with sufficient proof. Alternatively, that person needs to testify in person before the Public Protector, and then obviously be subjected to examination pertaining to his answers, which one can equate to cross-examination in a court of law. And I think that President Ramaphosa would want to avoid that at all costs. So again, we would have to wait and see whether the reasons provided by him for his delay in answering the queries is sufficient. You know, whether he does have sufficient grounds to have caused the delay. But secondly, I think he should take it upon himself to take society into his confidence and to provide substantiated answers to this, so that his version can be, taken into account. At the moment, there are so many different, versions that have been put out, and so many different conclusions that have been drawn by the entire South Africa. So it would definitely serve his best interest to be forthcoming, and as I say, to take society into his confidence, to be transparent, and let's see what his version is. Why was he in this situation? Why was normal protocol not followed? Why were the criminal charges not laid after the robbery of this amount of cash, US dollars? And then let the Public Protector make a proper finding based on that, as well as the South African Police Services. We South Africans deserve to see justice to be done, and that old cliche of justice must not only be seen to be heard, it must be seen to be done. In other words, the wheels of justice must turn, and both versions must be taken into consideration. And once again, if there's criminal liability, then he should be prosecuted based on the evidence gathered by the South African Police Services, but also the Public Protector plays a very important role in our society, and it would only serve him well to play open cards and to provide answers to these queries as soon as possible, in my opinion.
So it's just a very basic question. Perhaps maybe it's one of the simplest questions. If the police are investigating this, why is it necessary for the Public Protector to be investigating it, and can they not work in conjunction with the police and get the evidence from them? Why is it necessary to have two investigations happening simultaneously? Just a question that I imagine a lot of people would be asking as well.
Remember that the Public Protector is a completely independent body. It is not influenced by neither the South African Police Services or the National Prosecuting Authority. It is an inquisitorial body, so in other words, a fact-finding body which investigates complaints laid against members of organs of state or the executive, in this instance, the President of South Africa, and they must make an objective finding based on their investigation. That objective finding can obviously be used by the South African Police Services and by the National Prosecuting Authority. So it is actually, it serves the interest of society, in my opinion, because it is not influenced by the guidelines and the rules that the South African Police Services and the National Prosecuting Authority need to abide by. It is completely independent, and as I said, it can be used should there be a subsequent prosecution of the President.
Okay, and then Ulrich, as I let you go, very quickly, if the President doesn't abide by this, what happens then? Because this is not the first time the President has been asked, not this President, but a sitting President in the form of former President Jacob Zuma has also, he also was subpoenaed to answer questions to former Public Protector Thuli Madonsela. If Ramaphosa does not abide by this appeal, what happens then?
Well, one would have to wait and see whether the subpoenas are issued properly and on him, and whether he then presents himself either for questioning or in the form of a sworn affidavit. If he does not, then the Public Protector will be within her rights to approach the High Court in order to enforce those subpoenas and ultimately, try and bring the President before the Public Protector through the High Court. Again, that would be something that the President would want to avoid. Okay. I think that him and his legal representatives and his team of advisors should sit down and earnestly look at this and try and provide as concise as possible answers and evidence to the queries so that, again, he takes South Africa into his confidence and let's hear his version so that the speculation can stop.
All right, Ulrich, thank you very much always for giving us those legal views. Legal expert Ulrich Hendricks unpacking the compelling Ramaphosa. Now, to provide information in respect to the Phala Phala burglary, that's of course the Public Protector's Office saying it will invoke its subpoena powers to compel him to respond.